Hello everybody, welcome back to Gelvin Valley Farming Simulator 15 on this fine map created by Wild Wild Wes. We're in the middle of harvesting barley and I sure hope my combine down there figures out, well, because he probably won't. Let's just help him out. Making some progress on this field. Oh, and now that I think about it, I'm going to need to windrow this field, so... Yes, and we have him right here. Let me get him going. We're going to head on over, start doing a round or three. Might still have to check my other vehicle to make sure he keeps offloading the combine like he should. Yeah, this particular field is a challenge with the hill, but we're up to the challenge, I think. So in the past couple episodes, I've been talking about our family puppy that we lost, so I promise I'll try to stay off of that topic. Of course, I never know what someone would be interested in hearing about anyway. Maybe they just want to hear about the game. I wish I could be telling a good story in here like my friend Atomic 67. But this whole series seems to be just talking about whatever's on the mind. And this is a Saturday, recording this right after the previous episode, and I have, it's the September, it's that time of year. I have some vacation planned with the family coming soon, and we were going to go on a fishing trip. We try to do that each year in September. Take my boys on a fishing trip at a mountain lake and have some family time with them, just away. And we're not highfalutin campers or that kind of thing. Most of the time we just stay in a cabin close to the lake, and I would say it's fairly Spartan. It isn't anything fancy or that kind of thing, but it's definitely many steps above being in a tent. Okay, fella, the gate is way down there. It's not over here. Don't know what you're doing there. Let me try to get this guy out of his way. So I've been looking forward to it. You know, we've had it booked for some time. A lot of these places in the mountains, I mean, they're very popular. So you need to get them booked as soon as you can. Look at that, folks. He went out the door all by himself. Well, hallelujah. I take back all the mean things I said about courseplay. So I've been looking forward to this trip, but there's kind of a monkey wrench that's been thrown into it, and so we were kind of trying to deal with it this weekend as a family. The place where we were intending to stay is right in the pathway of a forest fire. I don't know how many thousand acres the forest fire is, but basically it's burning out of control. And I just happened to catch a glance of an article here the other day, local one, that said the lake where we typically go fishing has been closed, and all hiking trails, and not it alone, but there are several other lakes in the area, and those also are closed. And so, you know, some of it's kind of the annoyance of, you know, when you go to some of these places, and maybe they have to do it this way, their cancellation policies can be pretty stiff, because I think it's hard to get them booked up. It's expensive to have lodging way out in the Tules, and so to cover their cost, A lot of times they won't let you, they'll force you to put a deposit down to stay there, and it's non-refundable. So I'm looking at, losing several $100. I'm not real wild about that prospect. And, we just looked it up tonight on their website. In terms of canceling, one of the reasons you can't cancel happens to be forest fires. I guess you're supposed to recognize that's a danger. They even mention on the site, they hope people get trip insurance or something like that. Well, I don't know about you all, but trip insurance sounds to me like kind of a use of family funds that probably would be better used somewhere else. So maybe we just take our lumps on this one. And so we were trying to book a place to stay somewhere else. Oh goodness, we're getting steep in here. Man, look at that. I think I can pull that hill. But these fires, we didn't have this problem a year ago, and I don't recall if, I've talked about the wildfires before that we had. It was right in the middle of COVID, with how that all impacted the world, with businesses being shut down, the potential for this disease that nobody seemed to know anything about, and information's coming out now that the government agencies and whatnot didn't handle it the best. And so, on top of all this stuff going on, we had in the state where I live, um, it was just a perfect storm, a whole bunch of wildfires. That tends to be something we see or hear of, not see all the time, in California. Well, that's California. They tend to be drier down there than we are here, I think, as a general rule. But we've started to get some of this activity, and maybe I've expressed some of it before. Not that I'm an expert, but some of it I think is due to mismanagement of our forests, and that if we handle things better in there, maybe when lightning strikes, it wouldn't have such a huge forest fire impact, if you will. I think I'm going to park this guy maybe over here. I think I've gone as far as I can at the moment. Set the brake. There we go. Now let me go find my tractor. Oh, I think it's behaving. So back in 2020, it's 2022 right now. Back in 2020, that summer, I can't remember now just when exactly it was, if it was in August or September, we had some massive fires. Hundreds of thousands of acres of our state were basically burned. There was untold property damage. People that had homes in these areas that lost them. And now it appears we're getting a repeat. Today, I think, was supposed to be 100 degrees. Not sure what that calculates out in Celsius. That's in Fahrenheit. But it was supposed to be an extra hot day. I don't know that it even got to 90 degrees. I think it was down in the 80s because, there's been some heavy winds, and it's bringing a lot of the smoke from the fire activity, whether it's in California or in some of our southern forests. And it just kind of made a haze. And so much so that I don't know that we could really see the sun today. I mean, you could. It kind of was this orange-red ball you could look at with your naked eye, not like you typically have to look away from the sun or whatever. So it's just kind of deja vu in a lot of respects. Back in 2020 when it happened, it was way worse than this. The fires were much closer. Although, our personal home was never in danger, it would really have to be a rip-roaring fire, I think, before it would get kind of down into the valley where we are. But up in the forest, where there's so much more material for it to burn, that obviously is going to flourish, way up there. But the smoke effect back then, I mean, it was just apocalyptic. The sky was red, and heavy smoke, and there was no seeing an orange ball called the sun. You flat out could not see the sun at all. It was just black smoke overhead. I think it was dropping a little bit of ash on us, wisps here and there that had dragged out of the forest, and just eerie. And, it makes a person wonder, well, where's the fire? When you see something like that and it appears like the whole world is burning down at the same time. It's why I say it looked just apocalyptic. So it isn't that way this time, although I'm sure there are some areas, of the state where visibility is even more severely impaired. Tonight we had my daughter over for supper and her boyfriend, and he lives down south, and he was commenting that there is a big fire to the east of him down there, and it's dropping ash kind of on the city where he lives. So suffice it to say, this fire, one of the biggest ones that I see on the map, is right smack in the middle of where I want to take my sons fishing. So, oh, life, huh? Things just come along and screw things up. And so tonight we were trying to figure out where to go. We're blessed to live in this area where there's lots of different places to go fishing, other lakes, vacation areas we can go to. And I think as it turns out, we'll be heading north and east, to get away from these fires rather than south and east, kind of like we initially anticipated. So we'll make it work. Like I say, we're fortunate to live in a beautiful area that has lots of access, but even heading up north, it's the forests are tinder dry up there, just like they are down south. So all it takes is someone being foolish and playing with fire where they shouldn't, and that's how some of those wildfires happened back in 2020. Some of it was just some kids, teenagers, unthinking, uh, whatever term you want to put to it, throwing firecrackers or whatever into the brush, and it's like there's nothing between the ears to stop silly behavior that just it's like, can you think through the consequences of some actions? And I guess, given all the problems in the world and everything, that question could be asked of a whole lot of adults. Did you think through what some of the consequences would be? And I don't mean to point fingers at other people in saying that. I ask those same questions to me, especially when I screw up on something, and say, how could I have prevented that, or why did I do something else, than what I needed to do? Yeah, the imperfect human race. So, plans need to change. It's going to cost me more money too, because now, well, since we have to go somewhere different, we need to have all these other things, get the hot tub and whatever, and cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. But it's for the family. What can I say? Why else do we spend time making money if we can't spend a little bit of it and enjoy it while we're together as a family? So that's what we'll be doing, hopefully. Just not in the place, where we initially intended. But boy, I just wonder about, you hear in the news the talk of climate change and all that, and years ago it seems like the term was global warming, and I think that's still generally the talk they have of the planet warming up further. And weather data is what it is. The facts will bear out what happens ultimately, and the question always is what's the cause? Can anything be done about it? Is it humans doing it? Um, just what of it? And I don't need to spill here the politics and all this. I mean, this is supposed to be a happy place, right? So whatever the issue is, what we do know is the weather is what it is. And I don't remember when I was a kid these kinds of fires being around. I remember periodically Dad my father would haul me and my siblings up into the brush somewhere, and we'd go camping or fishing or whatever as a kid. And I remember going to this one lake where they had a special presentation. Someone even dragged a movie projector up there and showed a film. We had Smokey Bear, only you can prevent forest fires, and all that, trying to encourage, development in the psyche of kids and people. Hey, when you have a campfire, if you, whatever you're doing with fire, be careful and think, because you can prevent significant damage to the forest and the natural resource. But I don't remember huge fires. Now that's not to say that it hasn't happened in the past. Out in the more of the coastal area. I think it was Tillamook. The Tillamook burned hundreds of thousands of acres of timber and whatnot once upon a time out there, burned. And so, these things have happened in the past. They'll continue happening in the future. Are they happening more? Well, like I gotta say, in my lifetime, it's taken until now. And here we have, kind of not 2 years in a row. It skipped a year kind of in the middle. I don't know if we had more rain, if the wind conditions were different, humidity. I mean, there's probably loads of factors. But, but yeah, it is a little bit more recent to deal with this kind of thing. So, so maybe the climate, you could say that's climate change. I don't know. Only time will tell. And like I say, the actual results. The good news is, at least here, this is down in the southwest region of the country where it's a lot drier. This is more of a persistent problem, a lot of times, maybe even year round. I don't really know for sure. I don't live down there, but shoot, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to know if it's drier that you may end up having more trouble with fire. But around here, it's only a matter of time before we get into the fall rains or snowfall for the mountains. So it provides a really good snuff to all open fires, if you will. I mean, it just isn't going to burn when there's snow on the ground, of course, or a lot of rain, and it just puts it out, makes it easier. But at the moment, I mean, yeah, it's I really feel for the men and women that go out in the forest to fight these fires and put their lives at risk, on behalf of the rest of us to try to take care of some of these things. I just hope one day, government policy improves and we can take better care, of our forests. I think sometimes there's a philosophy that, well, just let nature do whatever nature's gonna do, and that's the best way. And maybe for some things that's true, but I think sometimes human intervention can make a difference. And I think this is one of those areas where maybe if we were a little better at how we managed it, we wouldn't have some of these problems. There we go. Find the gate. Ah! Or find the wall. The wall wins every time. What in the world are you doing? I tell you what, am I gonna squirrel out of there? Maybe I can get out of there. I just... Don't say it. Don't say it. There we go. It's like I gotta escort him to the door every single time. It's just I know if I have to redo it, it takes a bunch of time, but I don't know. Hey, I got plenty of time. I'm just sitting here jibber-jabbering at everybody. So maybe one of these times I should just redo the course and make it better. I need to send it further into the field, I think. Kind of like how I've done some of the others, because I think when I set this course up here, I forgot that there needs to be more distance allowed for the first 2 points in the course before it makes, if we look at the course here, my goodness, swerving like a drunken sailor. If we look at the waypoints here, see how you can get them pretty close together. It's just going point to point to point and switching between them. Yeah, for some reason at the start it has to be longer distance. I really don't know why though. Maybe there's something that could be tweaked. It is what it is. So, because of the wildfires and maybe some of the experience that they had back in 2020 dealing with, one of my boys was off school this past Friday because the power at the school was going to be turned off. Why? Well, I think it's a power company. They feel if they literally turn the power off in a lot of these locations, if something hits, with lightning or whatever, if there's no power out there, it'll be less likely to start a fire. Uh, Maybe that's true. I really don't know just how much of a difference that will make. I mean, yeah, of course, there's electricity in those lines, maybe exacerbates the problem, but I'm pretty sure lightning can start fires kind of all on its own. So, but like I say, what do I know? Um, I assume those people know what they're doing, but it would just really suck if you're living out in one of those areas. Sorry, we're turning your power off. Meanwhile, it's hot and you can't get any air conditioning or any help in the house, and if you have a refrigerator, perishable items in it, what are you supposed to do? Just leave that off for several days? And I think there are some communities out, or people that live out in a rural area, having their power turned off. It's a pretty nasty inconvenience, when it's done on purpose. It's it's bad enough it happens on accident every now and again. You get a windstorm or something, but to have it done deliberately, it's like, should we really do that? Or should we rather wait for a problem to happen before just trying to preempt it? That reminds me when I was a kid, we don't get a lot of snow here in the winter. So when it does come, it's a big deal. And I think when I was in high school, we got a good snow in there one of the years. And I think it hit kind of sporadically in the valley. It just hammered our area. I think we had maybe a foot of it or whatever. And I heard that another school district, not that far away actually, they heard the snow was coming and they went ahead and closed school the night before. And they woke up the next day and there was nothing. But they couldn't really do anything about it. They'd already closed school, so they got it off anyhow. But they really could have gone to school. It was just some zealous school officials wanting to keep things safe, and they did it in advance, and I remember in the old days, I got an old uncle who the school district would literally call him. He had a really steep hill by his house, and they asked him how the hill was because they weren't sure the school buses, it was slick, whether the school buses would go up it. And I think, and they may still have networks of people like that, people in the community they call up to see what's going on out there before they just make a decision that impacts everybody that maybe was made a little prematurely or could have been made better. So, they were predicting really high winds with these and the potential for a lot of fires. And there was some. There was higher winds and it was blowing pretty good a couple days ago. And we don't get a lot of high winds in this area. They get massive high winds out on the coast. But in the valley here, it's typically pretty sheltered. So we got winds of maybe 20 miles an hour, gusting to I don't know what. So we don't just get that every day that we would have sustained winds. So a lot of caution, the government authorities trying to help us manage our lives, work through all these things. But yeah, sometimes you wonder if it's a little bit too much oversight. Who knows? You know what? I see my combine up there. He's only, oh, of course he's only 30% because he finished the field. Well done. I'm going to move him down here. Get ready to offload because we're going to need to move to a different field. And I got barley in here. I think I go to canola next. Let me just take a peek here. Just take a peek. You added barley here. So I think the circuit I do is go down to these smaller fields. That's going to be canola, 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 more canola. And yeah, I should have done a better job planning. You guys see all my ineptitude on here. I kind of just do this arc, come down. I hit this one here. That'll be more barley. But you know what? We're pretty close to storage here. So it should be pretty easy to empty the combine out. I've already done these. So empty it out. We'll do one more canola over here. And that'll be a little bit of a pain to get it emptied out. That's a nasty field anyhow. I've had so many unpleasant memories with the combine there. And then it'll be barley to finish things off. So yep, I'm leaving barley for the moment, going to canola. And let's see here. So make sure he's all set up for when the tractor comes in. So generous of this particular farmer here to let us keep cutting across his grass field. It's amazing we haven't put any ruts. Oh hey, cool, there's a plane. We haven't left any ruts in his field. Grass just kind of keeps covering over whatever we do. So we'll have to talk to him and see what kind of grass he has planted, because obviously it's pretty hardy stuff. And that is my feeble attempt in this episode of anything resembling a story or role play. Why role play when there are fires to talk about? Okay, I'm probably gonna have to help this guy out. Let's go offload. Get our stuff. There we go. Empty combine. You know, it should be able to go out, right? Yeah, it's like it goes to the end point of incoming to the field, and then it looks for the second point of the outgoing, and then it turns on there. And if there's anything in the way when it's trying to do that, well, you're going to be in trouble. Take the pipe down. We'll get this combine moved, and that's probably going to do it for this episode. We'll shinny our way down the load, and probably we've long since had a car go through that little trigger we put on the map that I put on there some time ago, so that we could have the ability to drive through cars and other superhuman feats of human engineering. You know, in real life with the hillside combine, I don't think we'd leave the hillside on while we were going down the road. That'd be too dangerous. You never know what the machine would tip you into. But I can't think of a way to easily turn it off, so it is what it is. Get by the entrance here. I see all this additional real estate I would love to have. It's flatter, easier to work in. But just can't afford it yet. Just can't afford it. So I'm assuming our farmer hero in game is probably not married, because he sure couldn't afford a family at the rate he's going. Now, even though I can drive between cars, I still want to give them a wide berth. Can I cut through here? Oh! Look at that damage I just did to... Well, maybe it wasn't that much extra. I guess I'm remembering from the tractor. There was more. You boy, I can barely sneak that through there, but I did it. Then I'm gonna have to thump it to get back to my tractor and try to get him on a course over here. I think what I've done over here in the past is I've just taken it to the sell point. Oh yeah, he's still wrangling it around to, oh my word. I'm just going to stop him, and we're going to do this manually. In real life, that sign would have toppled. Don't know why it doesn't in game, but it is what it is. Oh, I've got this limiter thing on again. How did I fix that? Maybe shift. Oh, there we go. Well, we'll get her dumped here. That takes care of a little bit of barley, and I will get this tractor out to the field off cam. Hope everybody is having a wonderful day wherever they are, whatever they're doing. And I'll say goodbye for now, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.